Aspire to a clean career, leaving no shame for descendants. Hello everyone. Welcome to Encountering Chinese Case Stories. Cases judged by Bao Gong. Today, I'm going to tell you a story called Let a Talented Person Perish Unjustly. In Shijing, there was a scholar named Sun Che, who was exceptionally gifted from a young age. He was highly intelligent and talented, with a deep understanding of both classical texts and history. His essays flowed seamlessly, and he could compose poetry and respond to verses effortlessly. Everyone who met him praised him as a great talent. Logically speaking, such a scholar would have no trouble passing the imperial examination, even winning the top honors. However, in recent years, the atmosphere in the examination halls had changed. The evaluation of essays had become chaotic and inconsistent. Articles that were clumsy, disjointed, and incomprehensible were accepted by the examiners, while those that were elegant and well-structured were rejected without a second thought. This perfectly reflected the saying, "Not seeking an essay to impress the world, only to please the examiners." As long as an essay met the examiner's preferences, no matter how awful the content, the candidate could rise to fame, while an essay as beautiful as brocade was useless if it did not align with the examiner's tastes. However, the examiners were often unaware of this. Once these individuals became examiners after passing the imperial exams and gaining power, they became blinded by wealth and greed, thinking only of gold and silver. They no longer remembered the days they had spent studying hard, burning the midnight oil. As examiners, they turned a blind eye to the truth, not caring about others' lives. Thus, despite Sun's vast talent, he failed to pass the exams time and again. That year, the chief examiner was a man named Ding Tan, who was also a trusted confidant of the notorious court official Ding Wei. This time, the imperial examination was even more absurd than before. The examiners no longer cared about the quality of the essays, they judged solely by family background and wealth. Although the examination was ostensibly an academic test, behind the scenes, the examiners and candidates had already formed secret agreements. In the end, those with the right connections were all admitted without fail, while the remaining spots were filled by the examiners simply picking a few essays at random to fill the quotas. And so, the list was finalized. Naturally, Sun Che failed once again. Among his classmates, there was a man named Wang Nian, who could barely write a single Chinese character correctly, yet he managed to pass. Sun Che was furious, his heart broken in despair. His frustration festered, leading to illness, and before long, he passed away. After his death, Sun Che came before the king of hell to seek justice and accuse those responsible for his untimely demise. He wrote in his petition, "I, Sun Che, was full of talent, yet I was unjustly killed." The examiners acted out of favoritism, destroying my 7 beautiful essays. The imperial examination may not be everything, but the quality of an essay should still be recognized. The current atmosphere in the examination hall is like treating rice husks as treasure, while precious pearls are sunk into the water, never to be seen again. In such a world, what is the meaning of life? Yet, how can I accept dying with such grievance? Since the world is so unjust, I believe the underworld will help me seek justice, and I hereby file my complaint. Upon reading the petition, the king of hell was immediately enraged and questioned Sun-che. Sun-che, you claim to be exceptionally talented, but what evidence do you have that the human examiners wronged you? Sun-che cupped his hands and replied, I do not dare claim to be great, but those who passed had no talent at all. If the examiners had judged fairly, how could a Sun-che be worse than Wang Nian, who has no literary skill? I have a few articles I wrote myself. Please, Your Majesty, help me judge them. The king of hell responded. Perhaps your essays are too obscure and difficult for the examiners to understand. I am the king of hell, and I am not like the examiners on earth, who are selected through the imperial examination. I do not dare to judge your essays in the same way. I cannot base my decision on personal preferences. Instead, I will send for Bao Gong, who was once the star of literature in the heavens. His understanding of literature is unparalleled in the world. With his wisdom, he will be able to assess your essays without error. That night, Bao Gong was indeed summoned by the king of hell to review the case. He took the petition, glanced at it, and immediately sighed. Since the beginning of the imperial examination, far too many talented scholars have been unjustly judged. Sun-che then presented his original essays to Bao Gong. Bao Gong carefully read through them, and upon finishing, he exclaimed, Indeed, this is remarkable talent. What kind of chief examiner would reject such excellent essays? Sun-che replied. The chief examiner's name is Ding Tan. Bao Gong sneered. I see, this man is nothing more than a deceitful little person with no real knowledge. He doesn't deserve to be a chief examiner. Sun-che, still filled with indignation, said. I don't know much about Ding Tan, but I once saw the essay of Wang Nian, a successful candidate, and I believe the examiners were biased. I could not accept such an unjust judgment. Bao Gong turned to the ghost attendants and commanded. Quickly summon the souls of Ding Tan and Wang Nian for questioning. The ghost attendants hesitated, saying, They are now influential figures in the mortal realm. How can we easily summon them? Bao Gong coldly laughed. Their prestigious status seems to be ending today because of this case. There is no need for hesitation. Bring them here immediately. In no time, the souls of Ding Tan and Wang Nian were brought before the great hall of the underworld. Bao Gong looked at Ding Tan and sternly said, Ding Tan, as the chief examiner, you hold a great responsibility. How could you let a talented person like Sun-che perish unjustly? Ding Tan defended himself, saying, Sun-che's essay might indeed be excellent, but his answers deviated from the topic. He made significant errors, which is why he was not selected. Bao Gong scoffed, Here is the essay he wrote that day. Why don't you read it again and see if your judgment is reasonable? With that, Bao Gong threw the essay in front of Ding Tan. Ding Tan took the exam paper, looked at it for a moment, and was immediately filled with shame, his face turning bright red. He stammered. "It seems that I was too exhausted from grading the papers, and I unintentionally overlooked this one." Gong scolded him, as the chief examiner. "How dare you select candidates without even reading their papers properly? A talented person like Sun-che fails to be selected, while an essay as lacking in merit as Wang Nian's is chosen? Clearly, you colluded with others behind the scenes. Do you still deny your guilt?" Gong continued. "I have just discovered that you have 12 years left to live, but due to your unjust actions that led to the death of a gifted scholar, your crime is no different from that of a murderer in the underworld. I hereby sentence you to lose 12 years of your life." Gong added. "You claim you misjudged due to fatigue, but I find your eyes to be useless. I sentence you in your next life to be born as a blind fortune teller. Moreover, should I find evidence in the future that you have accepted bribes or sold official positions, not only will you lose your sight, but you will also become a beggar wandering the streets. These are the consequences of your actions in your past life." Then Gong turned to Wang Nian, coldly stating, "Wang Nian, you lack talent, yet you passed the imperial examination by luck. Such a situation, where virtue does not match position, is a deceit against heaven. I sentence you in your next life to be a cow, grazing on grass every day, as a punishment for the actions of your previous life." Wang Nian, trembling, protested. "Although I lack talent, at least I can write a few lines. What about those who cannot write a single sentence yet still passed? Should they also be sentenced to live as cows and eat grass in their next life? There wouldn't be enough grass for all of them." Gong replied, "There are many injustices in the world, and we can only do our best to seek justice for those who have unjustly perished. Even if some escape, this punishment serves as a warning to those who would seek to profit from unlawful means. You, too, must serve as an example of the consequences of such actions." Thus, Gong made his ruling. It was found that Chief Examiner Ding Tan had claimed the excellent essays deviated from the topic, when in fact he had secretly accepted bribes from candidates. This caused an unfair examination process, leading to the death of talented scholars in frustration. A person might use power and influence to bully others in the mortal realm, but in the underworld, the law is without mercy. Therefore, Ding Tan was sentenced to be born as a blind fortune teller in his next life. Wang Nian, who had no talent yet passed the examination by luck, was punished for deceiving heaven, and he would be born as a cow in his next life. As for Sun-che, although his dreams were unfulfilled in this life, he was granted the title of top scholar in his next life to make amends for the injustice he suffered. After the judgment, Gong had the case file and Sun-che's exam papers bound together and ordered them to be sent to the 10 Yama kings, to serve as a typical case for future trials of scholars in the underworld. Alright. That's all for today's case story. Let a talented person perish unjustly. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please also encourage everyone to comment and share more. We'll see you in the next episode.